And they're going to start coming in.
Okay.
All right. Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good morning, assalamu alaikum, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Let us know, say hello, so you can put your message in chat. Hello, Fazia. And let me know where you guys are joining from, which country. And also, just a quick reminder to all of you guys. Oh, let's see. So London, UK. All right. So Rina is also in UK. Walaikum assalam. Oh, Canada. Shabnam is in UK. All right. Wonderful. Great. Good to see you guys here. Our topic today, finally, we get to talk to my amazing friend, Mary Knight. Our topic today is discover how to deeply connect with your man and affair-proof your marriage. So I know this is going to be a really interactive call. Make sure you put your comments in the chat box. Just a quick housekeeping notes here. If you want to make a comment or you have a question, you can either put it in the chat, but please remember when you start typing, there's like a blue bar that will say either hosts and panelists or everyone. So if you just want me and Mary to see your question and not everybody else, make sure you change it to host and panelists. And if you just want to make a general comment, then choose everyone. If you also, to protect your privacy, if you don't want anybody to see your comment and you don't want to take a chance, you can also click on Q&A, which is should be at the bottom of your screen. You can choose Q&A option and put your question there as well. Then you have the react button where you can click on the heart, send us some love if you like something. If you really are, if something is an eye opener, like an aha, maybe give us a thumbs up. That way we know you are engaged and something is really resonating with you. So once we are done with all the questions we want to ask Mary, we will talk about how you can actually connect with her amazing work, how she can help you really affair-proof your marriage and have a deep, soulful connection in your marriage. So I want to give you guys a brief background about our guest speaker today. In Mary's own words, she says, "Hi, I am Mary Knight, and for nearly 15 years, I've dedicated my life to empowering women and men to build deeper, more fulfilling relationships with themselves and their loved ones. As a trusted coach, guide, and best-selling author, I've worked with countless individuals from diverse backgrounds, helping them navigate the complexities of intimacy, connection, and self-discovery with respect and confidence. My passion lies in creating a supportive space where people can explore their emotions, their desires, and challenges without fear or judgment. I specialize in helping women reconnect with their innate strength, confidence, and worth, especially when it comes to topics like intimacy and female sexual desire. Through a blend of practical tools, compassionate coaching, and evidence-based insights, I've guided hundreds of clients towards personal breakthroughs that transform not just their relationships, but their entire lives. If you're ready to embrace your true self, deepen your connection with your husband, and become a more confident, fulfilled version of yourself, I am here to help you every step of the way. Welcome, Mary. It is so wonderful to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and it's good to see you. It's been a while since we've talked.
Yeah, it has been. And it is always enlightening to talk to you. I can honestly say that many, many years ago when I interviewed you on my other show, and then I had the opportunity to read your book and learn from you, so many of what I believe, so many of the beliefs I held about the opposite gender and about, especially about the reasons why men cheat was really changed. And I actually got to learn the truth because there's so much we learn from movies, from the media, from, all the information that that's out there, which has very little to do with actually the reality and the truth. And it puts all, not only it puts these false notions in our heads, but it creates this unnecessary fear in us, right? So before we dive into these topics, Mary, I'd love for you to share with us what prompted you to do this work. Why did you write your New York Times bestselling book? Take us through that, please.
Well, I didn't, that wasn't mentioned in my biography that I sent to you, but I actually used to be a sex worker. I was an escort. I was a high-end traveling companion to very wealthy men. And so I traveled the world with them as my job. And I retired from that about 14 years ago. And just to let y'all know, I am married now. I've been with my husband for coming up on 11 years. He's not my first husband. And I have three grown children. I'm a grandma. And so I have a very different life now. And what prompted me to write that book called How to Keep Your Man Out of My Bed was I was learning from men
Mm-hmm.
why they were there with me instead of at home with their wives, where I knew they belonged. I knew that their seeing me was, I was just a substitute. The things they were doing with me, they really wanted to be doing with their wives. And a lot of our appointments, I don't know what, I think sex work, another word for that would be, just to be blunt, would be prostitute. Um, I learned why men were there with me instead of at home with their wives. And actually, physical intimacy was a very small part of that.
Hmm.
It was because they really wanted to feel desired. You know, they wanted a woman who would listen to them,
Hmm.
who wouldn't judge them. You know, they wanted to talk to me about things. Excuse me, that men want to talk to their wives and the women that they love about all kinds of things. And often they don't feel like they can do that because they think that women don't listen, like women aren't good listeners, that we get offended, we get our feelings hurt. And so rather than do that to us, to hurt our feelings and whatnot, they just don't share those things that they really want to share. And what ends up happening is that just builds up inside of them,
Hmm.
and then they become confused, thinking, oh, I don't feel connected with my wife because I'm not enjoying the physical intimacy with her that I want to. And so it must be that. And so I'm going to go find that from another woman.
Hmm.
And a lot of times these men don't want to have affairs because they still love their wives, right? They
Hmm.
love their children. They don't want to break up the family. And
Hmm.
it sounds so crazy, right? They instead of just having this honest conversation with the woman they love and have devoted their lives to, they'll just go and spend time with another woman, but
Hmm.
and pay her. So because they know that way there's not going to be any hurt feelings
And
if he
it's
decides he
kind of
doesn't want to.
easier, right? It's no strings attached. So
No strings attached, right? There's no, she's not going to, if he doesn't hear from her again, she's not going to call the house and be mad at him and try to talk to his wife and say, "Oh, do you know what your husband's been doing with me?" Right? There's none of that kind of thing that was going to go on. And and so to kind of round back to what I was saying is a lot of men think that what they're needing is that physical intimate connection, which they definitely are, but that's such a small part of it. What
mm,
they want is acceptance, love, kindness, respect. That's what they're really looking for. And that's what they're going to other women for, as
mm.
crazy as that sounds. And that's not what we're taught. We're taught that men are animals and they just have all these animal urges they can't control. And that's why they're
And there
going
are
out and
some who are
seeing
like,
all these.
right, Mary? There are
There
some,
definitely are.
yeah.
Yes. There are, but most men's, like if you think of your husband, right? If you think of your brothers, your uncles, they're not they're just normal guys, right? They just want to be loved. They just want to have a peaceful home, right? Most men aren't out there, acting that way. Some
Yeah.
definitely are. And I think there's of a trend towards that
Mm,
lately, I will say.
yeah,
I've noticed that.
yeah, definitely, because the
Right.
options have increased and it's become so much easier because of the apps and all that stuff. But I totally agree
Yeah, yeah.
with you because so many people that I have also helped, when they come to me with issues in their marriage and there's been infidelity, it's very difficult for the woman to understand when I even tell them, look, if he tells you that he loves you, he's telling you the truth. And it's very, very difficult for the wife to understand and accept that yes, a man could totally love his wife and still go and cheat and be unfaithful. And he's telling the truth. And there is so much in there, there's a whole lot of investment that both people have made. There are children involved a lot of times. And what we're trying to do is just give you more information. We're not telling you what to do. We're not
Yes.
we're not going to say, go this way or that way, but it is important to have all the information that you should have, you should need. So one of the things, it's funny, Mary, there was this really popular, I call it drama series. It was like what you would call a soap, remember how we used to have these
Okay.
soaps? So
Hmm.
in Pakistan, that became extremely popular. It just ended like a few weeks ago. And it was about a man who, cheats on his wife. Bismil, guys, I'm talking about Bismil. And I did, somebody asked me to do a review because it's been happening so much in Pakistan. And I was talking about this thing. So they show this. So the second woman, the other woman is like this younger gold digger who, and this
Okay.
man has been happily married for almost 28 years. And what that younger woman starts doing is she starts commenting on how the color of his shirt is playing off his eyes and how nice he looks and how much she appreciates what he does for her, and how like he's just this savior, this king, this knight, and he falls for her. And people were talking about, well, that's all it takes for men to slip, and that's all. And really, in reality, yeah, it does. Because when I feel, Mary, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when we fall in love, and when we're falling in love, it's like, oh my God, we're so curious about our partner. We're so complimenting, right? It's like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Your laugh is amazing. The twinkle in your eye is amazing. And all of those things are amazing. And then we get married. Then we have the safety of a relationship. And over time, we start taking each other for granted and we reduce each other to a role or a function, right? You're my
Hmm.
husband, and your function in my life is this, and this is your role. And we stop seeing each other as the humans, as the soul that is inside. And we do it, both people do it to each other. And I think the soul is hungry for that recognition. And as soon as some other person comes and gives that recognition, boy, oh boy, you are so vulnerable at that time to fall for that.
I agree. And it's what happens with people who are in those situations, right? It's like it's hard for us to see our husband as any different, right? We're not seeing him as growing and evolving. We don't see ourselves as growing and evolving, and we see him as not, for some reason we get stuck in that pattern. But as far as the where I feel I differ from a lot of like some of these modern dating coaches is that I do believe that there's a strong spiritual element to a marriage and to these relationships. It isn't just about the physical. And when we are feeling vulnerable, when we're feeling maybe weak or delicate because we're not getting what we want at home, like talking about a man, then he's so much more susceptible to giving in to the physical, right? And thinking, oh, that's what's missing from my life. And he
Hmm.
becomes so identified with the physical and with the body. And it's so easy to get kind of carried away with that, with the ego part of these interactions, rather than the love part that we have in our marriage. And the thing is, though, like, it's so easy for us to, like, husbands need to be courting their wives the entire time throughout marriage, right? For us to
Mhm.
feel safe and special and wanted and needed, right? We need that. He has to do certain things. He has to still treat us like he's romancing us.
Mm.
And we have to still act like what you were saying, with appreciation, with curiosity, with
Mm.
wonder. And
Mhm.
when we stop doing that, he notices it. But not enough to say anything, really. That's the thing. This is subtle and it happens over time. It happens
Yeah.
slowly. And I
Yeah.
like that example of, oh, it just takes, so he was so easily swayed by a woman giving him a compliment. Well, if he had been getting those compliments at home, he wouldn't have cared what that 28-year-old or however old she was woman, because he knows what she doesn't, what does she know about life?
Mhm.
Right? Compared to
That's
his
so
wife.
true. That's so true.
It's like he got swayed by a pretty face because that was a vulnerable spot in the
Yeah,
marriage. And I'm not saying it's the wife's fault. It's a dynamic that's created together,
I agree.
right? So it's
I
not just
agree.
one person's
These things
fault.
don't happen
But
in a
you
vacuum.
can No, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. And also, men get lazy. Men get so lazy with us, and they don't still treat us like we're that special, wonderful princess that they first met and were courting and dating, and they were so in love with and paying attention and giving us attention and making us feel comfortable and safe and want to be with him. They stop doing that. And when they stop doing that, we stop feeling open
Mhm.
and we stop feeling interested because we're wondering, oh, what's going on here? And the thing is, the man is the leader in the relationship. The masculine energy is always the leader in the relationship when it
Yeah.
comes to this kind of stuff. It doesn't mean everything's up to him, but we react when a man stops being as engaged with us. Maybe there's a lot going on at work or whatever. We notice, but it's our job, because we have this power to do that, to bring him back to us by getting his attention, touching him and saying, I'm so glad you're home. I'm so
Mhm.
glad to see you. Or whatever it is that, oh, I love the way that I love your eyes in that shirt. Or, oh, you're wearing my favorite shirt. I love that. Or whatever it is that that makes him
Yeah.
feel really good. It sounds so silly, right? Because it's simple. It's
Yeah.
simple.
And one of the things, Mary, that I find, and this is a comment I get a lot from men, because in the Pakistani culture, in the Indian culture, even now, majority of women don't work. They're just provided for
Mhm.
by the husbands. And the complaint I get from the husbands now is that, with all this talk about the gender role reversals and women becoming empowered, so women are asking for all, respect and all of those things, which is great, but they feel very marginalized, the husbands. And I've heard this term many times. I'm just an ATM card for my wife and my kids. And it's very
Mhm.
sad. It's deeply disturbing, actually, because when I put myself in their shoes, I can kind of see what the point is, that again, we're reducing each other to a role and a function. And beyond that, we're not willing to give the love, the affection, the recognition, the respect. Probably, maybe the husbands also do it where, now you're the mother and you're the homemaker and this is your role and this is your function. But women, I think, and I'm a woman myself, a lot of times
Yes.
we fail to see that we're also doing the same thing, reducing the man to a role and a function. I don't care. I mean, this is my experience. I don't care how mature a man is. They all love to be, pampered, to be shown affection, to be
Mhm.
showered with appreciation. We all love it. We're humans, right?
Right. But so this is what I really love to talk about, and where I have really been honing in my expertise is there's a big difference between what makes a man feel special and appreciated and what makes a woman feel special and appreciated. And what's been happening over the years, especially in the United States, and it's happening all over the world, of course, is that as women, we think that men want what we want, and then men think that we want what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been this in the West here. I live in Texas. The West here, it has gotten so far out of hand. And I think part of it was, we don't have to get off on this big topic, was the sexual revolution in the United States. It, and I guess all over the world, it gave women permission to say yes, 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 but it really didn't give women permission to say no. And
Mm-hmm.
so what was happening is that then women are thinking, oh, well, I'm supposed to want all the same things that men want. And
Mm-hmm.
then men started thinking, oh, well, women are supposed to want all the same things that I want. And so we're treating women and women's desires and the same as we would treat a man's. And
Mm-hmm.
so the thing about like, and so then it gets complicated because we're just overlaying what we want on to the man, and we think that that's what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the same. And so then even if we have really fantastic intentions, we're not necessarily doing the things that really make him, I could say, like really turn him on and make him feel really connected to you. And by the same token, he's not doing that with you, right? Because this is kind of a, I don't know if I want to get too far afield into this, but you mentioned respect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a man, for him to fall in love and feel safe and open his heart to us, he has to know that we respect him.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times what happens is we lose respect for our husbands, and then that makes us not desire him as a man anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because that's part of what how male and female sex drive work together. The man has to feel respected, to feel safe and open up to you, and you have to respect him in order to feel
To be
safe
safe. Yeah, and
and
protected.
open up to him,
Yeah.
right? In every way I'm talking about, mentally, emotionally, physically. That's how that works. But what's been happening is that we think that because a man wants respect and needs respect, that we do too.
Mm-hmm.
And before anybody gets upset, okay, it's not, excuse me, it's not that we don't want respect, but we really don't. What we want is the wrong word. What we want is we want to be cherished. We
Mm-hmm.
want to be adored. We
Yeah.
want to be taken care of, whether you're working out of the house or staying at home. There's a way that a man takes care of a woman by doing things for her, even if he doesn't have money, doing things like offering advice, right? That is solving problems for us. Those are, and in order for us to listen to advice, we have to respect the man. And so when your husband's offering advice or offering solutions, you're like, no, 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 no. That it really cuts men, even if he would never say
Yes,
anything. It
it
really will
absolutely,
cut a
yes,
man.
yes. Because you
So
are
I kind of
emasculating
kind of got,
men. Yeah, no, but I think this is a very important thing to understand. I also get a lot of women saying we both need respect. So it's really nuanced. It's like, yes, when a man cherishes you, he's going to be the first person to respect and guard your dignity. That's going to happen automatically. But we don't understand a lot of times as women when there are many ways where honestly it's benign for us and we're actually emasculating the man. And when a man feels emasculated by a woman, he is not going to be attracted. It's just as simple as that. Um, in my
no.
culture, Mary, one of the things I see, and I tell all my students, whoever listens to me, that there's this bad habit, cultural habit, where women will criticize their husband publicly. They will criticize him in front of his family, their friends. They make fun of him. And that actually wounds very deeply. They don't understand how bad that is for their relationship, for their long-term happiness. So I'm glad you brought that up. So there are a few questions.
Being very critical.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
please.
okay, I don't, there's one thing I want to say about respect because I know that that can be a hot button for a lot of women because what I want to do is say one more thing about it so that we can really understand what I mean by that. And it ties into to what you're saying about you know, when women are doing that, humiliating their husbands in front of family and friends, or the children. Um, it's a power play, right? It's because there's something going on within her that she's afraid to really express to him, right?
Mm,
Because you don't do that to someone you love, right?
mm-hmm,
I would never do that to you, right?
mm,
You know what I mean? Like you don't do that to people you care about and your friends. You don't do that. And so it's like a way of just like jabbing, getting back for something else out of fear of being open and really expressing what
true.
is actually going on, right?
Very
But the
true.
thing that I talk to Westerners about, because it's the same, right? It's the same. Men are the same all across the world. And there's a lot of that going on here too in the West. Oh, it's bad right now. It's gotten crazy, especially with the younger people with all the dating apps and then everybody thinking that they're I won't even get into that. What I was going to say, that doesn't matter. I'll just wind it on back. So what I talk to men about, they think, oh, well, you know, I'm going out with women, I'm dating, and I'm treating them with respect. And then I end up in, I don't know if it's part of culture there in the friend zone, right? Like the men are very kind, very generous, very nice looking, very sweet, but they're always deferring to the woman, right?
Mm,
Instead of them actually saying, this is what I want, this is what I need, they wait to find out what she wants, and then they bend over backwards to give it to her. Now, the
mm-hmm.
reason and for women, that sounds kind of nice, right? Like, oh, he wants to please me and do everything for me. But what's happening is he is not
He's not
doing
taking charge.
it,
Yeah, he's not
right?
taking.
Because he's confident. Yeah, right. And really wants to express himself and is like, yes, this is how I treat the women that I love. I want the people I love to have these nice things and to let them know I care about them. It's not coming from that. It's coming from he is afraid to displease her,
Mhm.
right? He's afraid to do the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, and upset her. So instead of being himself, and being with a woman who would accept him for himself, he's just playing this role. And that's what happens when a man is respectful of a woman.
Mm,
That's what I'm talking. So he's not really being himself.
mm,
But that's not what it looks like when a woman's respectful to a man,
mm. That's
right?
very good. Very good point. Yeah.
So there. I hope that wasn't confusing, but it's like it's such a weird way to put it. I
Mm,
think it's,
yeah.
but I learned that over the years and from coaching men.
That's very insightful.
Okay, so
That's
sorry. So now, so if people have questions, to answer
yeah,
them.
somebody was saying that I was always under the impression that men were bad listeners, women are better listeners. I think that's debatable because it's we're all human. Sometimes
Mhm.
men. Do you want to address that, or there's some other questions too I
Sure,
want to address?
sure.
I have found
Well, a
men to
lot of us,
men listen too. It's just that you have to talk to them in a
Mhm.
different way. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, because women, we tend to talk very conceptually. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
talk about ideas, we talk about feelings. And so when I talk to you, I can say, oh, yeah, and I was feeling, you know, this and that and the other. And you go, oh, yeah, da, da, da. And I wouldn't have to explain because as a woman, we understand. We understand each other. But if I'm talking to my husband and I start talking a lot about feelings, he, God bless him, but I can just see him just kind of go, because I'm not talking to him about things that he can truly understand. But so the other thing is that we women, we always think we're the great communicators. We do. We've taken that on, that role on. We're good talkers. We're
Yeah.
good at expressing ourselves, but most men do not feel like we listen at
Mm-hmm.
all because if they say something we don't like, we
Yeah.
may take a jab at them, right?
Yes.
Because we're feeling insecure or defensive and we want to correct him. And so do
Yeah.
you really think he's going to talk to us and open up to us if we correct it? No, no, any more
Also,
than you are. But so men
yeah.
listen, but it takes them a while to process things. So maybe he's not like popping back with remarks and comments and feedback like we would
Yeah.
because he's taking it in. So that's,
I also
yeah.
feel,
But of
Mary,
course, depends on the
that
person.
that that a lot of times, especially I know in the Pakistani and Indian culture, we grow up watching, our elders and the way our mothers used to communicate, which was basically just a lot of repetition about the same thing again and again and
Mm.
again. And what typically men do is the moment they hear, oh, they tune out because they just don't want to they just don't want to engage in the drama of the situation. If no real communication is taking place, they check out. So what we need to do is really learn communication skills better. Not just women, but men also. But we got to learn to listen to each other. And statements like this, my dear, where women are better communicators and men are not, you need to delete that belief because we're just as guilty of not listening. Um, what about those husbands who just feel they can do better, aka younger? My 46-year-old ex is looking for a 28 to 34-year-old. Okay, well, so what's the saving grace here? The saving grace, my dear, is that you're no longer married to him. One of the things, so Mary has helped, we'll ask Mary to give us some examples also, but she has helped so many couples reignite the passion, stay together, and have beautiful marriages. But you do need two to tango, sometimes, because no matter who the coach is and how amazing they are, they're not going to be able to fix a marriage or a situation that really can't be fixed, right? So you do need two people who are willing to, if they had love once, then you can reignite the love. And if you've got someone who frankly sounds immature, he's probably going through a midlife crisis or something, where he thinks that marrying a younger woman is going to solve all the problems that he had in his marriage with you. That's unfortunately, because here's the thing, you guys, whatever issues caused the marriage to break up, they're still there. We carry them in here. And until we work here, nothing's going to change. We will carry that baggage into the next relationship, then the next, because it's all in here. So that's all I got to say about a man looking for a younger woman. Uh,
I
how,
agree. It says everything about him and nothing about you,
yeah, it's nothing about you.
right? 'Cause he's looking for
Exactly.
easy. He's looking for no challenge. He's not really looking for a deep connection, maybe. Nothing against younger women, but I mean, come on. What young hottie girl is going to want some old man? I mean, they
True.
don't.
Yeah. If she's
They
if
want his
she's
money.
strong, I agree. If she's strong,
Mhm.
she's independent, she's emotionally mature, she's sure of herself, she's
Yeah.
gonna want somebody her own age. Why would she be marrying somebody,
Yeah.
20 years her senior? So, yeah. How to respect a man who is disrespectful himself in front of family and continues the behavior despite being told it isn't appreciated.
Hmm. Well, I have a couple of questions, but it's how you're approaching him. Of course, there's no excuse for his behavior. That's it's inexcusable. It's pulling him aside right as it's happening in that moment, maybe even in front of everyone, maybe standing up and asking him, "Hey, hun," or whatever, can you come over here for a minute? And then being away from everybody and asking him, "Are you trying to hurt my feelings?"
Hmm.
Being honest with him in front of everyone, not say that in front of everybody, but call him out in front of everyone,
Mhm.
right? And let them know and him know that you're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior from him. And then
But I
again, pull him
love
aside,
how
ask him.
sorry, I interrupted you.
Go
I
ahead.
love how you're putting it,
No, go
Mary.
ahead.
I wanted everybody to notice that instead of saying, how many times have I told you not to do this in front of people? You're embarrassing me, da, da. Instead, you're just saying, are you trying to hurt me? Because this is hurtful. So this is very
Mhm.
raw, this is very vulnerable, and it's the truth. Yeah. And
It's the truth. You can't
you're
go
not
on like
attacking
that.
him. Yeah. It's
Mm-mm.
letting him know your
No,
behavior is
no.
hurtful.
Right, questioning his motives because he may not realize what a jerk he's being. And then when you call him out on it, which any human would do when you call him out on it, he's on the defensive because he knows he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so by saying how you feel about it instead of putting it on him, it makes it where he can have the space to go, oh, yeah, sorry, I was having a bad day or whatever. Right. And then open the communication.
Yeah, beautiful. In case the husband talks rudely or abusively and takes the wife for granted, how can the wife respect him? So there's two parts to this. Taking the wife for granted, we're going to talk about that kind of stuff later, or taking the husband for granted. I never, ever support abuse. So I, you know, I'm sorry, in my mind, people who are abusive, whether that's physically, emotionally, verbally, I I don't believe in those kinds of marriages. So I'll revert to you, Mary, about that. Have you ever
Yeah,
dealt with people who were abusive and then changed their behavior?
I'm gonna say no, unfortunately, because it takes so much personal development and so much devotion, dedication, and discipline for someone to actually change that behavior. Because somebody who is being verbally abusive, there is something going on under the surface that has nothing to do with you at all. And it could be back to childhood traumas, other kinds of traumas. You know, I'm not a psychologist, not going to psychoanalyze anybody, but I'm in agreement with you that I, yeah, that's because that's a slippery slope. Once a man starts yelling and being abusive in that way, I mean,
Yeah, I'm
do
sorry.
you want your
I
kids around that? Yeah, I'm
that's what I
sorry.
was
Yeah, I don't have a
thinking.
good answer except for gotta look out for yourself.
Yes, exactly. So I want to just reiterate when we're talking about respecting a man, respecting a husband, we're talking about marriages that are otherwise normal, right? Where a man is not
Yes.
abusive. And I have never, ever supported marriages that are abusive in any way. So it destroys your self-dignity, it destroys your mental peace. It is not allowed in Islam, just so you know. Such a man does not, in my opinion, does not deserve respect. Please take care of yourself. If you are in any kind of harm's way, be smart about it because um, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I have not seen a person. I have seen people who committed adultery and they changed. They took some coaching, they
Mhm.
changed, they remained faithful to their wife. I have seen that happen. I have seen even people who were addicts, and once they made a commitment to
Yes.
becoming clean, and they did, I have yet to see someone who was an abuser and he changed his ways and never abused again. I have never seen that. I'm sorry. So moving on.
That's wild, isn't it? Wow.
It is
Mhm.
wild
Mhm.
because the trauma is so deep. Whatever they suffered, some of it is just conditioning. They saw abuse around them when they were growing up and they feel very entitled and whatever it is, it's a totally different topic, not today's topic, but I have never seen
Right.
abusers change. So sorry. I'm very sorry
Mm.
about that. Okay. Now we're getting into the juicy subjects. All right. How to ignite passion. Now, this is where Mary really shines. How to ignite passion in a relationship when you have been married for over 2 decades. Because let me first give the framing for this. Because at the end of the day, marriage is about intimacy, right? It's not just physical intimacy, although it is a big part of it. It is about intimacy. You see, of the how many billions of people on the planet, you say to this one special person, I am going to bare my soul to you. You are going to have this special place in my heart. And I am going to love you, and I choose to be loved by you, both physically and emotionally, right? That's a huge thing. And sex or physical intimacy is a really big part of it. And Mary, I don't know what it is like with your clients, but I can tell you from my culture, whenever I have worked with couples who have been married for a long time, the number one complaint, almost 80 to 90% of men, the number one complaint they had was dissatisfaction with the sex. Either it was infrequent or just not there or not interesting enough or whatever. That was the number one complaint. And I know a lot of women just, they don't feel like it anymore. The spark is gone. So,
Yeah, well, I coach a lot of men, and that's what I coach a lot of men on is they're like, yeah, I'm in a sexless marriage, you know. Um, and so of course I have a lot of thoughts, but I'll keep it I'll keep it brief
yeah,
here. But so when you've been with someone for 20 years, if you're in your 40s, right? I'm assuming you're in your 40s, maybe you're in your 50s, right? But at least you're, probably in your 40s.
well, we have
And
women in their 20s and 30s too in our
get
audience.
married in the teenage.
No,
You
not
have
teenage,
women who what are
30s and 40s and 50s. Yeah.
30s and 40s. So if you've been married for 20, 20 years, that's what,
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah, yeah. I
guessing
get
that
what you're
you
saying. Okay. Yeah.
40s, right? Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my grandma had my aunt when she was 17, but but it's your body goes through changes, right? Your husband may be doing all the same things. He may be doing absolutely nothing differently. Nothing has really changed in your relationship except your hormones. You're going through physical changes that are real.
Mm-hmm.
Women can start to go through menopause. They can start with perimenopause as early. Some women start in their late 20s, but
Wow.
mostly it's around the 30s. I know it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, that kind of hormonal imbalance. But usually it's you're in
Late 30s
your
to mid.
40s, your 30s. But yeah, because it can take 15-year process before you actually complete menopause. And so your body, you will just notice just very slight differences. You'll just won't, a lot of women start to experience brain fog, but without getting into all the nitty-gritty details of it, your body is saying, okay, this time for this is over, right? Your body, we have an expiration date on our sexual desire, like physically, if you think of it that way. Men don't. It lessens, right? Because their testosterone levels go down as they age. But for us, our body actually stops creating estrogen, right? That's the female sex hormone, right? That's what makes us have the full lips and the big hips, and develop breasts and, all the things that make us look like women, narrow ankles and wrists, just all those things that make us look the way we do. It's because of estrogen. So that starts to diminish and go away. And so does our sexual desire. And it's nature's way of just like, oh, okay, you're not capable of producing any more children. So there's no need for that drive. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have that drive. It just means that it's not going to be something that you're going around thinking about or having a feeling about, but it's something that once your husband, could get you interested in some physical intimacy, that you would enjoy it once it gets going, but it's not going to be something that you're just like, oh yeah, it's like it maybe not even cross your mind anymore. It's kind of strange to get because I'm almost 60. So I've already been through menopause and I've already been through this, but I will say very frankly, I still do have desire for my husband because it's something that I work on. And one of the things I do is I take bioidentical hormones. And from what I understand, they are available in Pakistan, getting the
Uh,
bioidentical
I
hormone
don't,
treatments are currently available in the United States.
yeah, they are available everywhere else. Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the other,
Yeah.
Mary? Because I know even younger couples, um,
Hmm.
they've been married only for a few,
Without the hormone stuff going on.
yeah, without like
Hmm.
they're younger and they seem to lose that interest. So what are some of the other
Hmm.
ways that we can keep the fires burning?
Right. Well, so something that I'm, excuse me, that I do that keeps me so interested in my husband is that we have a very close bond. We are very intimate emotionally. I
Mhm.
know that anything that I want or need, I can go to him, openly express it. And it doesn't mean that I'm always going to get it, but I know that I can go to him. I feel safe being open with him. But it's not just a one-way thing. He
Mhm.
feels the same way with me. He knows he can come to me and we can talk about things. And I'm not just talking about things in the bedroom. I'm talking about life, like life stuff. Like we
Yeah.
have this commitment, this bond that I rest in. I feel comfortable and relaxed and secure in that bond. And that's what allows me to have sexual desire. Now, if you are in a situation like a young couple, I don't know, are both of you working outside of the home? You both have stresses, maybe there's little kids. The loss of desire in those instances is usually due to emotional factors, right? Which is good news because
Yeah.
then you can do something about it. There's a lot of stress in modern life, a lot of stressors. Maybe you have a sick parent you're taking care of. That will kill your desire for intimacy because your brain actually kind of puts you in a bit of a survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, desire is not high on the list. It's not a priority. When your
Yeah.
body is trying to survive and keep you alive, that is like the lowest thing on the list because your body's like, well, we can't do that. We have to take care of all this other stuff. So I would think about things that are what's going on in the life. Is it because you and your husband aren't getting along and you're not feeling it for him anymore? Or is it because you have all these other things going on? Or is it a combination? Because a lot of times with
That-
women, we have all these things going on in our life, we'll blame our husband. It's human nature, right? We'll blame him for, oh, well, I feel this way because he didn't take out the trash, or I feel this way because he didn't make that money, he didn't get that bonus, or he was disrespectful to my mom, and then we'll make up all these stories and
Yeah.
so just a simple, it usually is something pretty simple.
Yeah, and I so agree with you that for women it is a lot of times it is emotional. Also, sometimes it can be you're just plain, really tired, like what Mary said, really stressed out, really
Tired.
tired. All those things do have
Yeah.
an impact on a woman's desire scale. So, okay, this is interesting. So somebody's saying, I'm 46, he's 50, and it's the other way around. I still desire him just as I did on day one, but he's not so keen anymore. That sounds like a testosterone issue.
That sounds definitely like a testosterone issue. Also, is he having other health challenges? Is he really stressed out at work? Because maybe if this is an ongoing thing, then it could be something like that, right? Or if like some stress at work, because again, it affects men too. Not when they're younger, not a lot of things can keep a man from wanting to take you into the bedroom. But when a man is older, the same kinds of things that affect us start to affect them too.
Yeah. And I was reading this shocking stat. I don't know if you happen to know anything about this, Mary, but testosterone levels in young boys are now, it's alarming how fast they're dropping. So that's something, if you are in a Western country, I highly recommend that you get your husband checked for his testosterone levels, because testosterone is a very key hormone both in men and women that, shapes your desire. And if the testosterone levels are low for him, it's not just that it's driving his sex drive, but it can have some serious side effects on his health, like cardiovascular health. So it is really, really important for everybody. Honestly, these days, everybody should get their hormone levels checked, no matter what age group you're in. Because thanks to all the GMO and all the stuff that's been interfered with, um, it's not the same like
All
it
the
used to be
plastic,
100 years ago. Yeah, you really need to,
all the dirty water, all that. Yes. Hmm.
yeah, and that's happening in
Well,
Pakistan.
also with men, because
Go ahead.
oh, I hate hearing that. I hate hearing that because the thing that we can control is how much of that kind of food that we consume. But as far as I know that the endocrine disruptors are things like plastics, some cleaners. We don't have to get into that topic, but I do know a lot about that, and I don't have any Teflon in my kitchen. We don't do seed oils, but I'm privileged to be able to be in a position where I was also raised that way. My mom was on the forefront of all this kind of natural
That's awesome.
living and engineering. Yeah. But there are those testosterone clinics around. And so for men to get their hormones checked, it's so much easier because their systems aren't as complex as ours.
Hmm.
I mean, we could do it too, but for them, there's all those clinics. They can just walk in and have you seen those around? They're
I
around
have, but
Austin
I've
and
heard about
Houston.
them. I've heard about them. Yeah. So what I want to do now, Mary, is I want to talk about what we have in store for our listeners, how they can connect with you and really help to take their marriage to the next level. So guys, if you want to type this in, or you can just watch my screen. It is the JamaliLiveShow.com, Mary 25. Mary, I will pull it up for you. And then if you can take us through this offer, please. Can you see my page? Can you see my screen?
It's coming up slowly. Okay, there it is.
Here we go. You can see it?
I
Or did
can.
it? Okay, cool. So this is, if you can take us through this offer, transform your marriage in just 28 days. And just
Yes.
tell
Yes.
me when to stop scrolling.
So this was touching on what we were talking about,
Uh-huh.
and this is was getting um but this is gets in depth in a way, and in here I don't actually um talk about hormones in this particular course because I know that that's not always what's going on. And also that's a natural rhythm of life is our sexual desire kind of ebbing and flowing. It's natural. It's natural. That's the way that it's supposed to be. But when there are things that we can do to control it, to take power over it, then I think that we should because it will bring us so much happiness. And if you are more interested in physical intimacy, then naturally you're going to want to participate in it more. And then that will keep your husband bonded to you. I maybe you've heard that the act of physical intimacy bonds women to men, but it's actually kind of the opposite, right? That physically men become bonded to us, and especially over time in a long-term relationship, they there are certain chemicals, certain drivers that are just naturally released that bond a man to us. And so the more we can be physically intimate with him, the more naturally bonded that we're going to be. That's the way that God made it. And so we want to honor that and by being aware of that. And so what this is going to be is it's going to be every day for 28 days. There you will get a message from me, like 2 to 3 5-minute message that will just really get into detail about all these different things that are going on with your husband. Like this course is all about what is going on with him, why he might be pulling away, why you might feel like you're pulling away. And so that way you can really understand what's going on so that in a way that feels empowering to you, that you can give it to him, right? You can be that, right? Like what men truly want, reigniting desire, right? There are techniques, there are things to do, and none of this is complicated. That's the good news. That is the best news, is that a lot of it is we you just don't know. We're not taught that. Even here in our Western country where we're so open about all this crazy stuff, this stuff doesn't get talked about. And so what makes me different from other coaches is this isn't about you changing who you are. This isn't about losing 10 pounds, aging in reverse, buying a new wardrobe to try to get your husband to find you attractive again. It's not about manipulating. It's about your understanding, like really understanding his needs deeply, right? And then how to talk to him, how to just really build up or rebuild that emotional connection that you used to have, right? Instead of being afraid to talk to him about what you need and what you want, I give you tips how to actually approach him in a way that will feel good to you and to him. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the daily video lessons, um, daily email guides, and then interactive exercises, journal prompts. I even have a guided meditation to help you connect emotionally with another person. It doesn't even have, you can use this, you don't even have to, doesn't even have to be your husband. It could be someone that you're having conflict with or someone you just want to deepen your connection with. Um, and I would say that your marriage really deserves this because you've invested so much time, so much effort, so much love. You may have children, you have family, a business. There's all kinds of things that will just suffer. Not just you, not just your husband, but the whole community around you suffers when something like this happens. And it would be a real shame because it's such a simple way to just bring everything back into balance and for you to get what you want. And the thing is, marriage doesn't just happen, right? Passion doesn't just happen. You have to work on it, right? Just like your connection, right? And the really cool thing is, in addition to this course where I teach you all about men and male desire and what they want, what they need, and how to give it to them in a way that feels really good to you and that will blow his mind and keep him bonded to you, is I have a course as a special bonus that is available as soon as you sign up, and it is called Awaken Desire. And it is all about female desire, female sex drive. Like Eram and I got into a little bit about, what are some of those things that keep us from feeling desire? And I go into a lot of detail and I talk all about that, and it helps you take a look at what's going on around you, your life, what are some things that maybe you didn't realize would be a hindrance to your desire, but that actually are. Like it could be something so simple that you're just not aware of. You're not connecting it to desire. Okay, and a lot of times women, we think desire is just supposed to be automatic in marriage, right? That once we get married and we're swept off our feet, it will just be this amazing journey of love and passion. But as many of us find out, no, it takes work. It takes work. And it's fun work, right? It's not hard work. But when you don't know what to do, you can't do it. And so this course will teach you all about female desire and what starts it, what stops it, what keeps it going. And that's available immediately as soon as you sign up.
That's awesome.
And yeah, this transform your marriage. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you in just 28 days? Yep.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great. It'll be starting February 3rd. And yeah, it's an everyday course. I didn't have in here because I thought what I will do is I will have because it's a 4-week course. Um once a week I'll have a live Zoom call where we could do Q&A.
beautiful.
I'm going to include that in you.
So let me just recap this, that you will get the 28-day love revival which Mary was just explaining, starts, you said February 3rd?
The third.
February the 3rd, and every
So
week we will have a live Q&A call with Mary if you want to ask her questions. But as soon as you sign up, so this is for $297, but as soon as you sign up, you're going to get her other course, which is Awakened Desire, Transforming Your Marriage Through Love and Connection, which is usually at $199. You're going to get that absolutely free, and you will get access to that immediately as soon as you sign up. And then your other course starts on February 3rd. So really, quite literally, you can transform the condition of your marriage. Let me actually put the link here. It's the Jamali. You can see it on our screen, the JamaliLifeShow.com/Mary25. So now I put that in the comments as well. So you can copy paste that from the chat, and then you'll have to, I don't know if you can click it. I think you can click it also. Yeah, it's a clickable link. So you can click it or copy paste it to your browser. Okay. Here's the thing, you guys. Why am I doing these calls? Because one of the things I have realized, if you've noticed, that I'm talking a lot about love and relationships right now, because I have been working with women from the East for a few years now. Thousands of women that I have helped to transform their lives through the 30 Days to Transformation course, and then they go into leadership and they go into all these other things. And the number one question that I still get from women who are married and from women who are not married yet is about love and relationships. And rightly so, because I can tell you that the most important decision you can make in your life really is who you're going to marry, because it's going to impact every area of your life. So if you've already made that decision and you're already married, there is still a lot of hope how you can actually transform your marriage into the kind of marriage that really is that sakina that is promised in the Quran, that the marriage should be your sanctuary. The marriage should be your deepest bond with another human being. Everything flows from that, right? The children you're going to have, the impact it's going to have on your life, even on your career, even on your purpose, everything flows from that. And having the right kind of marriage is so important now, because the sad thing is that in our culture, um, if we look at our parents, like I'm in my 50s now, the times of our parents were people didn't have options. You got married. It was usually an arranged marriage. People met each other the day of their wedding, and it somehow worked. And that's how it was. And now the world has changed radically. You guys know it too. In Pakistan and everywhere, marriages are failing, divorces are happening even after 20, 30 years of marriage. People are having affairs. And for our own sake, and especially for the sake of our children, we now need to learn the tools. We need to know what the heck makes a marriage work. What are some of the things that we should be doing as habits so that the marriage stays connected and as a strong bond? And I love the techniques that Mary teaches. She's been teaching it for a very long time. And um, a lot of these are science-backed as well, but these are the things that actually work. You know, I love that you mentioned connection, Mary, because I feel the number one way to affair-proof your marriage is through that very deep connection. Because once you have that, you know how rare it is and how much you value it, that both people stay connected to each other, and they want to protect that bond, because temptation is going to be everywhere. You guys, the world has changed dramatically. And now temptation is far, far more than what it used to be. And access has become so much easier. So now more than ever, we really need to know how to do marriage right. What are the habits, tools, techniques that will actually transform your marriage into a good, healthy, soul fulfilling bond? And it's possible. It's really possible. You just have to learn and maybe unlearn some of the bad habits and learn
Mm.
some of the good, healthier habits. Yeah.
I love that. I love everything you said. It was beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you. Well,
Yes, it's like
I
I
have,
have yeah.
yeah, go ahead, please.
No, saying I'm very, very happily married. After all the challenges that I've had in my life, I met and married a man. We were both 49 when we met, and we got married when we were 51. And so we've been together. We've been together for 10 years, and there's been some struggles and some challenges, but it was a commitment that kept us going. It wasn't always our feelings that kept us going, because there are going to be times you don't love your husband. There's going to
Yeah,
be times that you're going to be
there's
so
gonna be
mad,
times, of
so
course.
upset. There's going to be times, but it's the commitment, the bond that you have. That's why you stay. Otherwise, none of us would have relationships with anyone anymore, right? We'd all be single running around acting crazy. But it's that commitment, and the when couples are connected, when they reconnect, and often it can happen very, very quickly. And
Yeah,
your husband doesn't have to participate in any of this for this to change your marriage either,
awesome.
right? He doesn't have to. It's the way that when you learn how to talk to him in a way that helps him feel safe enough to open his heart again to you. Because what happens is, we open and we close our hearts, right?
Hmm.
All day long, we're opening and closing our hearts, opening and closing our hearts. And it's funny, if you think about it that way, it's a choice, right? So
Hmm.
you can choose to open your heart to your husband again. Because if you're
Yeah,
not feeling desire for him, it's because you're not feeling comfortable, safe, protected, secure in your relationship. And it might not have anything to do with your husband, right? Or it might. Either way, this course will show you how to handle that, right?
yeah,
Because it all starts from you. The only thing you can control is you. So it's time to start focusing on you and what you can do, and not being concerned about, oh, well, he did this and he said that. It's like, okay, I'm not saying that people don't do terrible things, or well, your husband's probably not doing terrible things. He's probably doing silly things or goofy things or annoying things, But even if he's having an affair, right? What we talked about earlier is men who have affairs love their wives. I know
yeah.
that sounds so crazy, but it's true, because it's just a little bit different for them than it is for us. And that's not me making an excuse, right? I have no reason to make an excuse, but that was just from years of experience. Men who have affairs love their wives. And I will say, it often doesn't have a whole lot to do with her. It's about him and how he's unable to communicate with her. And so
I
if
have,
you can learn how to communicate, keep that open, keep it
yeah.
open, right? Then you can keep him
I,
bonded to you.
Mary, I have counseled couples where the man was actually having an affair because he did love his wife and he wanted to save the marriage, and that's why he was having an affair. And I know you've had people like that too.
Yes.
And I know it is difficult for women to understand, but once they get past the intense pain of betrayal, the intense trauma of having been cheated on, and they get to see the truth that he was also a man who was desperately in a painful situation and made a stupid, foolish choice, but it wasn't because he didn't love his wife. It was actually quite the opposite. So I think, and I love that somebody commented here, guys, if you want to talk one-on-one to Mary, please, if you go to the reaction button, the react button, you can press raise hand. So raise your hand and I'll have you talk to Mary. If somebody sent this in the Q&A box that they want to talk to Mary, but it needs to be confidential, this is a recorded call and the replay will be shared. So maybe get the course with Mary and ask the question there. But if you want to, ask If you want to type your question in, it will remain confidential. I'm not taking anybody's names. I'll just read the question to Mary. But if you want to talk to her, then please raise your hand. I love this other comment from someone who is a single girl still. She's not married yet. I feel this would be such a great course for you, my dear, because you will learn the good habits before you start practicing the bad habits, right? Because here's the truth. I can tell you from having talked to thousands of people, 99.9% of women that I deal with that are, married women who have daughters or sons who are going to be married have no clue what the healthy habits are in a marriage. That's how bad it is. So where are you going to learn this from? Who's going to teach you? And now, like I said, more than ever, we need to be armed with information. Information is power, right? So you will have the knowledge, the power to actually help direct the marriage in the correct direction. That's so important, right? So learning the right tools. This is emotional intelligence in how to make a marriage
Mhm.
work and how to make intimacy work. So let me see. Do I have anybody with I guess they're all going to be shy today. So I don't have anybody with their hand
That's
raised.
okay. This is a
Yeah,
topic. This is a touchy subject. It is. Yeah.
yeah,
When I do my coaching calls with men, I only do them on the phone. I don't do Zoom calls because when they're looking at me, they're not as open about their challenges. So I just do phone calls. So I get it. I like
yeah, yeah. So you said that this course will be equally helpful whether the man participates or not. But have you found that husbands do participate in it too?
Yes, because once the wife starts to behave differently, right? Because
Hmm.
what's going to happen is you're going to start to feel more relaxed because often when a marriage isn't going well or even if things are going fine, you just don't have this desire anymore. There's going to be an underlying tension about you that maybe your husband wouldn't be able to put a name on it, but he just knows something's not quite right. And so
Hmm.
a lot of men, if they don't understand, if they don't know that if they're right, they're not going to bring it up with you because they're like, because they just don't know.
Yeah,
And so what will happen is you'll just start to be more relaxed. You'll start to be more confident. You'll start to feel more secure just because you have this understanding. And so
yeah,
then he's naturally going to be more open with you, even if he doesn't say anything, just the way he is around you, right? Just his way of being, he's going to be more relaxed. And so naturally, you're just bringing all this peace to your household, right? You're going to make it a place where everybody wants to be.
yeah.
Instead of tension, it's going to be peace. Men crave peace. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, men just want everyone to be happy.
yes, yes,
They crave peace. They really do. They don't know how to deal with a lot of conflict and drama, as we talked about earlier. They don't like it. I don't like it either, but men really will just shy away from it. And so they'll avoid you. They'll avoid
yeah,
you if they think you're being too stressed out. But this will help you understand, oh, okay, this is natural, this is normal. I'm going through it. And then you'll have a way to talk to him about it
mm,
on your terms, right? That's the thing, on your terms. You don't have to wait for
beautiful.
him.
So, Mary, how important is it for a woman to feel sexy? And does your course
It's
help?
very important.
Mm,
Yes. Yes, it does. Now, the bonus talks all about female desire and what drives that because we don't understand female sex drive. We just don't. We don't pay attention to it. Our cultures, all of them, are obsessed with male sex drive. And so if we're not having those kinds of feelings, we think that we're not feeling sexy or that we're not sexy or that there's something wrong with us. But actually, it's because we're not men. So the same things that make us feel desired and desirable are not the same things. And in the course, I go through that. We really talk about that. Like, it's not that something's wrong with you, it's that that is not a turn on for you.
Hmm.
So you learn.
This is a great question,
How to-
Mary. When my husband says he loves me, I don't believe him. I know he does, but I feel like he just says it.
So you say you know he loves you, but you don't believe it? What? What is that question? Am I not?
I think I understand because I've seen this many times. What the husband is saying he loves her, and at some level she does know that he does, but at the same time
Okay.
she doubts him. And so maybe I don't know, is he doing something that makes you question his
Mm-hmm.
love, number one. And I would invite you to think a little more deeply about this, which is, do you love yourself? The number one
Mm-hmm.
reason why people don't believe when other people say that they love them is they doubt everybody's intentions, is because there's some deep insecurity at play. And because they can't accept it for themselves, they therefore think everybody else is they're not truthful. So maybe you can explain your question a little bit more. I have another question from a viewer. This is a tricky one. How to deal with a situation where husband is not abusive physically, but he's addicted to extramarital affairs. He doesn't get involved emotionally, but it's just physical, and he admits that everything is sexually good between us, but that he's just curious, and that's why he keeps having affairs.
That sounds like a whole lot of nonsense from him,
Mm,
right? Something is missing from him. Something is missing because that would be the same thing as his being an alcoholic, being a drug addict,
mhm,
being addicted to pornography, gambling, overeating, right? It's that he's something is missing within him. And this is his like the path of least resistance for him to try to fill that void within him,
yes,
right? He's
I agree with
looking
you.
for comfort. Mhm. instead of instead of dealing with his own emotions. And then of course that leaves you, I would imagine, devastated because how would we treat somebody who was an alcoholic? What would we do?
Mhm.
Right? We would tell them in the Western world, we would tell them they need to get help. And what therapists often do is they're like, oh, well, you can't talk about your marriage or deal with anything with your marriage until this person deals with their problem. Because it's his problem that only he can actually do something about. Because this isn't just like, oh, he had an affair. This is something else,
Yeah.
something very
You know,
toxic, and it's not good for you to be around.
it's not, and it is a form of abuse.
It's
This
a
is
form, yes,
it is abuse, and he's not taking responsibility for his bad behavior, and he's gaslighting you basically by saying, "Oh, it's just
gaslighting.
curiosity." Um, you know,
Curiosity. Oh my gosh, read a book. Come on.
yeah. Exactly. So it is abuse, and it is bad behavior. And by the way, I mean, there's all kinds of consequences from that. If he's not practicing safe sex, he could be putting you at risk. And in today's day and age, all of this is just really unacceptable behavior. And the first step I would say is, first of all, my dear, you need to decide why you are putting up with this. This is hurting your self-dignity a lot, like a lot. And you need to first decide to love yourself enough to not put up with this kind of behavior. And then, if he is ever willing to accept what he's doing, there is help available. There are therapists who will work with this kind of, he's a sex addict probably, and
Mhm.
he will need to get help get therapy for this. And both of you will probably need to go to long-term therapy to rebuild the damage that has already been done.
Right. That well said, because yeah, that kind of thing too, that's a tough one. That's a very, very difficult habit addiction for men to overcome. Just
Yeah,
saying that too, not trying to be negative about it, but yes, that's a good point. Like what about you would stay,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
what, yeah,
exactly.
you're not enough, right?
Yeah. Why would you put up with that kind of behavior? And also, please remember if you have children, because a lot of times women from our culture or any culture stay in a marriage that is abusive because they think it's good for the kids. But this kind of toxic behavior is not good for the kids. Their whole
It
prism
is
of
not.
reality, yeah, their whole prism of reality is going to get distorted. They will see love as this kind of behavior, and they're going to grow up to be adults with serious problems in relationships and intimacy issues, whether it's a girl or a boy, whatever children you have. That's why it is so important really to really choose who you're going to marry and really learn about them before you make that decision. And I'll have the similar answer to the next question, which is, if a man is not providing the religious and cultural needs and he wants you to be a participant in finances to run the home, these are the kind of questions that should be addressed really clearly before getting married. Because I have a lot of clients who are perfectly okay being equally, 50-50 partners in finances. They don't have an issue with that. But if that was an issue for you, this is the kind of question that should be addressed before getting married. That, look, I don't ever want to work. I want you to take care of me. And this is how it's going to be. So, all right. So if there are no more questions that I see, then again, I invite you to um, invest in Mary's course that is really going to be life-changing in many ways, especially if you are married or if you're unmarried and you want to make sure that you want to have the kind of relationship that has longevity. So whenever we're trying to build a structure, the most important part of it is in the foundation. If the foundation is weak, no matter how many stories you build, there is always a chance that it's going to break. Or it's going to fall down. The most important aspect of it is the foundation. So you can still work on the foundation and make it strong, because I know in today's day and age, because divorce is accepted in our culture finally, and some marriages absolutely should end in divorce. But still, if it can be avoided, we should try our level best to try to save the marriage, to save your investment, to save your love, and not create the damage, the heartache that does come from a divorce, especially for kids. So please, if you feel called to, if you liked what Mary was talking about, invest in her course, which is at the jamalilifeshow.com/Mary25. Right now, you'll be able to get the other course for free, which you can start working on as soon as we get done with this call. Mary, I'm so grateful for your time today, my dear. Thank you so much. As always, it was very insightful. And thank you for this really important work that you're doing, helping to save marriages and helping to keep people connected.
Oh, you're so welcome. No need to thank me. I'm honored. I'm honored to be here, and I really do feel like that it is my calling. It is my mission that was assigned to me.
Awesome. Thank
So
you so
thank you.
much. And thank you all of you guys for being here today. Please, we will send out the replay as soon as the recording has processed. Please share it with people that you think need to watch this, that need this information. Please forward it to as many people as possible. Let us know. I want your feedback. Let me know what you thought about this call. If you want more calls like this, inshallah, we'll do that as well. Thank you. Lots of love. Bye-bye, Mary.
Bye-bye. Thank you.